For a brief moment in the early 1990s, falling blocks were everywhere. Thanks to the seismic success of Tetris, we started to see store shelves packed with all kinds of similar titles, including Dr. Mario, Columns, Hatris, and even Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Unfortunately, aside from the release of Luminous back in 2005, we really haven't seen a whole lot of variation on the formula in recent years. But that is about to change thanks to the new game Aloof. By taking all the best ideas from the most iconic block-dropping games and then adding a few adventure elements to the mix, this one-on-one puzzler from first-time developer ButtonX somehow manages to feel fresh and familiar at the same time. But will it be the next puzzle fighter? Let's go ahead and hit the high seas and find out. An overly cynical person may look at Aloof and see nothing but echoes of Tetris and Puyo. It is, after all, a game where blocks fall from the sky and we're asked to match 5 or more colors, all while chaining together combos that can be used to attack the other opponents. But while that's certainly the jumping off point, there are some fun twists on the formula that really go a long way to shake up this style of competitive puzzler. Aloof follows the journey of a bunny rabbit who sets sail through a fantasy world in his wooden boat. Through a series of challenges in the voyage mode, we're taught to raise islands and buildings by creating the specific shapes the levels call for. This just seems like a fun teaching tool at first, but you'll quickly discover that raising these islands will have a strategic value when going head-to-head with the game's many opponents. The more land you control in a match, the harder it will be to defeat our adorable bunny. This creates an intense dynamic where both players are rushing to control the most islands, while simultaneously trying to chain combos together to get the upper hand and eventually win. Now, there's a reason why I keep mentioning how you need to chain combos together, and that's because simply connecting 5 blocks together won't be enough to defeat your opponents. Pretty much every enemy that gets in your way will have a shield, so you'll first need to remove their defenses before striking for real damage. Sometimes you can do this by creating a specific shape that the other player is vulnerable to, but the best and most consistent way to take down the life bar is to link combos together. This means that you'll have to think in advance, setting up chain reactions that'll send big waves to the other player. Do this enough times and you'll win the fight and sail on to the next challenge. Beyond creating shapes and raising defensive islands, there are a few other things that'll make the gameplay stand out. For one thing, you're in full control over the falling blocks. That means that you can not only control how fast they drop, but also move them back up the well at any time. You can also attach them to the side of same colored tiles without the blocks even hitting the ground, which allows for a level of strategy that you don't normally see in these types of puzzle games. What's more, you can flip the entire playfield around at any time to create even more shapes and chains. And don't even worry about losing because you hit the top of the well, because you can completely flush each side independently without even missing a step. All of this helps to make Aloof feel fresh and different from all the typical block-dropping puzzle games. You'll also find that not every stop on the voyage has you battling enemies. Sometimes you'll just need to create a complicated shape or raise islands in a certain order. The most challenging levels involve you trying to rescue rabbits that are stuck inside of tall towers. What makes these stages especially difficult is that we're only allowed to create the requested shape. Anything else will sink the tower and send that adorable bunny into the dangerous waters. Believe it or not, it's surprisingly easy to accidentally link 5 colors together or create the wrong shape. So you really do need to pay close attention to where you drop each of the blocks and use both sides of the well to your advantage. If you're able to complete enough of these challenges, you'll go up against a series of tough boss fights, which will really put your shape building skills to the test. Now, this voyage may be fun, but just like Puyo Puyo and Puzzle Fighter, it's the multiplayer modes that'll keep you coming back to Aloof. There's a separate online adventure mode that'll have you competing against other real players, which is where you'll finally be able to use those skills that you learned during the voyage. Speaking of the campaign mode, you can also set sail with a second co-op player, though right now it's strictly limited to local play. Unfortunately, I just wasn't able to find very many online opponents to go head-to-head with. But hopefully that'll change as more people discover just how good Aloof is. That said, one thing that I really like is that you can go back to playing through the single-player mode while you wait for the matchmaking to find a new challenger, which is the kind of thing that I wish more developers would include in their multiplayer games. While I like a lot of the innovations to the formula, I do wish there was maybe a little bit more to the voyage mode. It's set up like an adventure, so it would have been fun to see some sort of story attached to each stop. I also wish that you could skip levels, or maybe just play them out of order, since getting stuck in one particularly tough stage means that the progress grinds to a halt. And beyond the single-player mode, the multiplayer content will probably need to be fleshed out a bit more if it ever hopes to compete against the greats of the one-on-one puzzle genre, such as Puyo Puyo and Puzzle Fighter. Fighting over land and summoning waves by creating different shapes is a great first step, but there's still so much that can be done with these ingredients. This is the kind of game that will hopefully grow and evolve as more people discover its unique charm. It's a bit on the bare bones side right now, but Aloof is a great puzzle game with a whole lot of potential. Aloof is the kind of game that is able to wear its inspirations on its sleeve because it adds so much to the formula. By raising islands, by creating shapes and matching colors, this game offers a unique approach to the one-on-one puzzle game genre that'll make it hard to go back to games like Puyo Puyo and Puzzle Fighter. It's currently a little bare bones, and it's not always easy to find an online opponent, but this is a great little game that is just waiting to be discovered. Hit the high seas and set sail for Aloof. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite block drop and puzzle game? Are you one of those Tetris people? Or maybe you're more into columns? Or admit it, you're the one person who really dug on Wordtris. Come on, let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with a review of the very weird new game, Say No More, followed on Sunday by Defunct Games news. We're going to be making a huge announcement in that episode, so you'll definitely want to tune in. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.